The laws were written to protect them. It's so important that you understand the verbiage of law. And if you can understand the verbiage of law, you start to learn what they call legalese. It's so important that you know this stuff and that you pay attention to it, because this is how they trap you in situations that cause you to do jail time, especially if it's revolving around a handgun. If you say, I just killed this guy that broke in my house, then the verbiage you just used will cause you to be brought up on premeditated murder, even though it was in your house. But you have to use three particular words, and those are the only three words you can use. By the end of this show, you should be proficient in some language that is used in the law, and you should be proficient in many other words that mean different things. So it's our responsibility today to bring that information to you. This is the Black News Network, BNN 247, the real voice of Black USA, getting ready to broadcast the news from a Black perspective. Our goal here at BNN 247 is to take what white America is talking about and see if we can decipher it and break it down to a point where you and I both have a clear understanding of what is being talked about here in this country. It is so much going on today, that it's almost invisible, the deeds, the dirty deeds that are being done in our country, and the deeds that are being ignored when it comes to our culture. We don't own the rights to the music, but we do own the rights to what we say. What this is, excuse me for that. This is the Black News Network. We want to talk about black and white words today. Now, if you're from the South, you use certain words in a certain parameter, but people from the South know what you're talking about. People from the North use particular words in certain parameters, and nobody know what the hell they're talking about. So it's the same word, but the pronunciation of these words are different based on the region of the country you are from. And most people can tell where you originated based on the way you speak. And it's something that we have been so conscious of as Black people, that we have to understand that this is not a different language. We do have our own language as a Black people. That we just have to admit it. We have to admit that our language is not the same as theirs. And we cannot speak their language. I don't give a damn how hard we try. I don't care how much English language you have taken, or how much professional speaking capability you have, you still sound Black. Now, if you don't believe what I'm saying, you can listen to the radio sometime, a variety station, and I guarantee you, you will know the differences in the people talking. You know white voices, you know Black voices, you know Oriental voices, you know Indonesian voices, you know Korean voices. You know the difference in voices. And because you know the difference in voices, you are able to decipher what these guys are talking about, or what they are talking about. You know how to listen to an individual when they speak from a different language. It's so easy. All you have to do is listen. And I think something about what we're doing today is what we really need to be doing on a regular basis. We really need to be trying to educate our brothers and sisters on this type of information. So, without going into it deeper, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is BNN247. We're not asking for a whole lot. I mean, we are asking for donations from time to time, and I appreciate every single one of you who give, and I appreciate the ones that don't give. It's about information, information, information. When you go to a job interview, you don't want to go in there without information about that company. You don't want to go in there without the right words. And I watched a skit on TikTok the other day where the guy had won a contract to do moving from one office building to another, and this is a black guy owning the moving business, and he hired his kinfolks. And over the weekend, one of his employees went out and got a face tattoo. So he's working in the South, the deep South, in these white folks' building. And the white man told the owner that he didn't like that the tattoo the guy had on his face. I never saw the tattoo. But the black man lit into the black guy with the tattoo, telling him, look, we're trying to start something here, and this is our first contract, and now we got people complaining all damn ready about shit that we do as a people, that we don't realize the consequences that come with it. Now, one consequence of what we do, a big consequence, some of the employees you see at the fast food places, at the medium to restaurants, or medium restaurants, they still sagging their pants while at work, walking up and down the aisles while the customers looking at their ass outside of their pants when they ain't got enough decency. And that's the bottom line, decency. To pull your damn pants up when you're around people eating. I've actually had to tell somebody, if you can't do better than that, don't come back over here to this table, because I don't want to see your ass while I'm out here trying to eat. You have to damn say what you have to say to the people that you have to say it to, because you never know when you're going to get, you never know what you're going to get in any situation. So that's one case in point that just, we have to change. When we leave the house, one of the things we need to start practicing this. You don't get up in the morning without making your bed or assisting in making your bed. You don't get up in the morning without brushing your teeth, washing your face, getting that matter out your eyes, and getting that funk out your mouth. You don't do that. You don't walk out the house with your clothes dirty, with the same clothes that you had on all week long. You don't do that. That's not about fitting into a society. That's about being represented in a professional, beautiful way, because we are beautiful people. And each time you see somebody sagging or got on house shoes or wearing a bonnet in the Walmart or anywhere, it's not hurting the person that's wearing all this stuff. It's hurting our society. I look at some of the cultures that all these different societies have, and how they honor their traditions and their ancestry. And it almost seems like the United States want us to disown our ancestry and not know who we are and where we came from, and that we were here. Most of us were here. And many of us that were here are descendants of slaves. And there are documents right now with our culture on the deeds. and the deeds to the land belong to us. But in order to get those deeds, you got to know that you have a right to those deeds. And if you don't know you got a right to get those deeds, you don't even know where to go to start looking. You know, everywhere in this country, you can find the audit trail of land possession. You can take it all the way back to where it was taken from some black folks and given to white folks. Now, this is a simple question I want to ask you. Black and white. We're black, they're white. That's what we hear all the time, black and white. Now, black and white is the color, right? Color. It is a color. Okay. So you got a black and white TV. It has no color. What's the deal here? You got a black and white TV with no color. But the words black and white are colors. So these are word play things now we're talking about. How we take the definition of some words, synonyms and antonyms, and we change them over to other things that are not necessarily the same thing, but they have the same damn spelling. So look at it this way. When you write a paper or writing a sentence or writing anything, and you have to use the word accept, you can accept or you can accept. There are two different meanings to accept and accept. Accept means to possess or to receive or to put your hands on it and it becomes in your possession. That's, you have accepted this award at this event. That's one part of the two words that sound exactly the same, but they're only spelled with one letter different. So that was the accept with the A-C-C-E-P-T, accept. Then you have accept. I want everybody to get on the bus except Joe Blow. Accept, the same damn word, but a different meaning. Accept means, as it sounds in the sentence, but you have to be the intelligent one to know which word to use. Now that's just one example. Another example, gorilla. We would think, and I would think, that the word gorilla is two different things. But before we go into the word gorilla, I want to welcome my co-host to the show. And again, Mr. Claude Foster, a native of Houston, Texas. We want to thank him for being a part of the Black News Network. Thank you so much, Mr. Claude, for coming in on this day of words. I'll go back to gorilla, but I want to give you a moment to say what you want to say as you come into the show.
Well, thank you, my brother. I apologize for the technical challenges we've been having from this end. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to have somebody taking a look at it. But it's our conversations are interesting. And as I was talking earlier, it seems like we live in a world where our race, traits, and tendencies are based on our race. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Is the way we speak, the words that we speak, the lifestyle that we have, is it because we're black, or is it because of this racist society that says this is the way we act because we're black?
I mean, I can answer. I mean, I like what your deduction is right here. I think that it's not them. Again, it's not them, Claude. It's us. We've been brainwashed to a point so bad where we have to check our own self to see if we fit into it. And the one thing that I've noticed the most out here in Texas is some self-defeating attitudes. Well, you're going to do something, right? But before you do it, you already saying this ain't gonna work, or they not gonna give me no loan, or they not gonna allow me to rent this building, or I can't buy this house. I hear so many people saying what they can't do, and they don't even know the damn rules. They don't even check into the rules.
But is that that was a guy back in the day that wrote a whole diatribe, technical piece for Prudential Insurance, talking about blacks' race, traits, and tendencies. And the only way to cure those traits and tendencies is with exposure to white people. And it's the fundamental reason why we have integration. And it's like this: is crime a race thing, or is crime a condition, a social condition, or more people that are poor subject to be criminal, or is criminal attached to black people? Is criminality?
Let me ask you this, Clark. Do you ever, when you were younger, did you ever ride through neighborhoods with these big ass houses, $1 million mansions, Olympic sized swimming pools, golf courts?
Of course, it was all over the South. Yeah, that glaring disparity. Right.
Now, at any given time, we would want that. I would want that for myself, but we knew it was out of touch. It was something that we knew we could not have at the moment, at that time, based on how we were being raised and how our conditions were. Now you see all that beautiful, huh?
But is crime? Let's help me with this criminal stuff. Is crime based on race, or is crime based on condition?
I think they both play a significant part in the crime execution, in the execution of the crime and the execution of the law enforcement behind the crime.
So the execution of the law enforcement is based on race.
All right, so the race part is definitely an origin from the slave catchers. It's no doubt that the people today that exist in positions of a level of authority to control other people is no different than what was developed from slave catchers.
So that whole condition that was developed by the slave catchers was based on our race, right?
Absolutely.
Whatever traits we had at the time.
No, only race. Only race. That is the only thing that the slave catchers were responsible for.
We was talking about missionaries earlier. And like in the South, they used to hang black people for any sexual contact with white women, right?
Absolutely.
But don't you find it ironic?
Contact for looks.
Don't you find it ironic that all the missionaries that were sent down south, not one missionary was raped?
They were raped.
Not
one.
You
said not one was raped?
Right.
Because now, see, that's something about our people. That speaks volume of our people, of what type of dignity and self-respect we had for ourselves during that time. We were too proud of a people to rape somebody. We didn't do that kind of stuff. But every time a white woman got raped, they claim a black man did it, and somebody hung behind it.
Somebody lying. Somebody lying. It wasn't black people.
So it was the easiest way to get out of a situation that you were afraid to admit you were responsible for. That's what I look at it as. You use the black man as an scapegoat, because that way you look authentic. You look real. Your story got validity because a black man did it. So anything bad, huh?
What was the name of that movie where the white guy, the white woman was having an affair with the white man, and he beat her up, and she said some black guy did it.
A nigga. Rosewood.
Rosewood.
That was Rosewood.
It was
That
those
was,
were yeah. That was more
we
like
sit there and looked at her when she said that. Everybody said, "What this man?" You know, she lying right off the bat. But all of them lie because of this. So let's go back into something what I was saying earlier.
okay.
I asked about the word gorilla. So we spell and everybody spell gorilla Gorilla, gorilla. But if you're talking about the gorillas in the jungle, the human beings that are acting as gorillas, what do you call them? How do you spell that? It's Guerrilla. It's different from Gorilla. Gorilla. They both mean the same. And the only way you know which one's being used is in the context of the sentence. Those are some of the words I'm talking about. Like I was talking about accept and accept earlier. Sometimes you have to really think, make sure you use the right one when you're writing a sentence. But as far as the way we talk, I might say, hey, Claude, when we get through, man, let's get something to eat. You know what the hell I said, right?
Let's get something to eat.
Let's get something to eat.
G-I-T or G-E-T?
It ain't even a word. It's get some eat. You know what that means. You knew without me having to repeat.
Well, I know what get something to eat means, but
that was a word. But if I said get some tea, you know what I still mean, right?
Right.
Because you about that life. I put it like that. You know. But other people won't know. If they grew up in the North or the West or anywhere else and they come down south and somebody said, let's get some tea, they're not going to understand what get something to eat means. You have to spell it out. Let's get something to eat, like you just said. You want to take a bath, you're going to take a bath. Those are the different words we use in our language. Bath, same damn thing. You might take a bath, I'm gonna take a bath. It's the same thing. And there are other words in our vocabulary that we use that nobody understands. But what people don't need to understand is that we have a language of our own, and we have to use our own language for us to be proud of who we are. As long as we're still trying our hardest to fit in with them, to be like them, to speak like them, to even look like them, with this cream that they're coming out that takes off take the melanin out your skin. Why could you be so stupid to want to do that kind of shit? Take the melanin out your skin and make you light skinned like Serena Williams. She did it.
Yeah, they allege that's what she's doing. That she's somehow lighter.
That could be a lie, yeah. It's allegedly said that she did that. So that's what I mean. We cannot continue to live these fake lives. Now, you see it in these rappers.
Well, but you see it with white women too. Remember Bo Derek when she did the braid thing and to get the black look. So you see it with on the white side.
People trying to do it.
Right.
Trying to get our look. That is something that I see more black women so obsessed with this hair thing. It blows me away,
Black people have always had the code switch, right? When you was working around
I had the code switch too.
You talked a certain way, you carried but when you got back home, your dialect changed, your everything, because you was in a comfortable environment where you could be yourself. So you say, is that you, or is that other?
Do you think there's a big percentage of us that code switch like that?
Yeah. I think the more educated you become, the more you have to you code switch.
The more you learn to code switch.
Now rappers do it. Rappers got a whole different dialect than black folk. Than middle the everyday black,
regular black people. Mhm.
right,
Yeah, they speak a language that don't too many people but them understand. You
right.
know,
But
and that's a whole
then
new
that
language.
John,
Our language is have been ignored from day one.
but I think the problem with our language is, and here again, I think that we get away from our culture because of the racist nature of this country and its under its treatment of us as a people, and whereas everything about us is a negative.
Hmm.
So if we can remove that negative,
Hmm.
we think that we're going to be either treated differently or advanced differently because we removed that negative, and that negative is who we are. I mean, it's not a
Negative.
negative.
So you
Why is it a
saying
negative? What
so
I'm
you
saying,
saying we remove our culture from ourselves in the white man's world, then we can be accepted? Is that what you're
is,
saying?
okay, is it our culture though?
What do you mean? What is what our culture? Is what our culture?
Is 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 our is the way the words that you use, and you're talking about black words, right? The way
Mm-hmm.
black people talk, is
Mm-hmm.
that part of our culture? What is that?
It's part of a new culture that we developed in order to not move our lips. Really, we learn how to do this because they put you in the field till you don't talk. You're gonna talk, but you have to talk in a way that nobody knows that you're talking.
So
So
it's a
we don't
survival force.
say we don't use full words. We use pieces of words in order to get our message across because we're so used to talking without our lips moving. And you know what? I left Mississippi at 18, and it was probably 6 years before I really found my voice. Because I felt like I talked so damn country that I would not want to speak. I went through recruiting school,
What,
and
but why did you feel? I mean,
the
why did
problem
you feel like
still.
that language? I mean, because that you're from the
I'm
South,
telling you the
the
truth.
South. So
I'm
who
telling you
told you that language? Why did you feel that way about
because
that?
I felt that way because I'm listening to all the people around me from all over the world speaking English, and I'm thinking, yeah, my form of English is not nowhere near what they talking.
But
So,
but but our form of English came from the people that we were around in the South. Them
absolutely.
uneducated, no, them uneducated Scots crackers
Hmm.
that came that settled in the South.
Hmm.
That's the vernacular that we picked up.
So do you think that we learn how to communicate without people knowing how we communicated?
No,
That's what I
I'm
think it
saying
came
that the
from.
dialect. I'm saying that the dialect, the way we talk, we inherited that from the people from the
From the white
white
folks.
soldiers that settled that region in the South, just like the folks in South Carolina, just like the
Mhm.
folks
I got you. I
in
believe you. You're right.
Louisiana.
We
So
did
it,
learn English
so
from
so
because
to
we
the
had to learn something. We had to learn how to communicate in their
so to
language.
the so to the degree that the whites that settled the southern states were those poor whites from England,
Hmm.
those that
The hood
uneducated.
rat, the hood rats from England.
That's who we picked it up from. That's
Those
where
are the
we
ones
learned.
they sent here.
No, those are the ones that settled the plantations in the South. Those were the ones that
Hmm.
supposedly, uh, settled in the South. Those were the ones, the plantation owners. Those were the people that we were around. Those,
Hmm.
that's the language, that's the sounds and stuff that we heard.
Hmm.
You can go to Appalachia, and blacks in Appalachia got a totally different dialect than blacks in the South.
Hmm. Same with New Orleans. You go down there, they speak differently.
So,
So
so
what I think our biggest issue is we don't want to capitalize our culture, our way of life. No matter how it may look to anybody else in America, we got our own
but
style of communication.
but you bring up a good point though, and it goes back to what I say is how how do we look at our race, our traits, and our tendencies? How do we look? Is that a negative?
Beautiful.
Is that a positive? Because America says a negative. That has been volumes and volumes written to portray us as negative. So go ahead.
I was just thinking about what you're saying. It's not them. I'll say that again. It's us. We look at it as, because we've been pressurized for the last 10 generations or so to learn how to fit in. And our biggest thing in fitting in has not been materialized. We
Well,
still huh?
racialized. I think we've been racialized. I think that first of all, we because of our skin color, we're different. And there's a whole lot of negativity attached to that. And it's not just
the black slave descendant.
Right. It's everything that see, I tell people all the time, I'm not saying that I don't love America and I'm not glad to be an American, but America is a racist country founded on a racial construct.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's right.
And until we come to grips with that reality, because the only people that really come to grips with it are the people that go to like the people that that go to the Ivy League schools, the Harvards, the Yales, and all this kind of stuff. They get into the construction of America, and they can talk about the construction of America without coming across as being racist or anti-American, unless somebody that writes a book like the 1619 Project or one of the other intellectuals that basically call out America for being racist, and then they get jumped on.
Yeah.
But you cannot set up a structure based on white supremacy and not say America is a racist country.
That's right. I agree. Now look at this too, Claude. In our elementary schools and our high schools, we got security resource officers in there now. And the purpose for those officers, without a doubt in my mind, is to watch black kids. And right now, if you look at the statistics, we're 5-1. Elementary school, high school. Huh?
Think about the whole concept of integration. Mm-hmm. How can one Negro go to the University of Mississippi and they say the school is integrated with one Negro? You got 30,000 students
and one Negro.
And one Negro go to, and now the school is integrated.
They got beat up all the time and shit.
I mean, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
One girl wanted to go to the University of Alabama. And then we call that one black person moves into a neighborhood, we call that integration.
But only when we do it, though. Only when we do it. If now, one white person moved into the hood,
explain that phenomenon.
Hey, if one white person moved into the hood, what do they say? We're moving on up. The hood's coming up, right? That's what they say. Well, if black move into the white hood or anywhere, then neighborhood's going down.
But one white person does not. How can one black person integrate a school with 30,000? How can that be called?
It cannot happen. The things that they do, something we can. They've had so many years to plan how to make us, hundreds of years to decide how to make us, and if they can come up with the Black Code, not even a week after Emancipation Proclamation, I mean, these people have planned our entire life structure in this country. They know exactly what they're going to do with us. Exactly.
You ever been home and you at the family picnic and somebody done gone off to college and they come back home and they're talking proper?
Yeah, like my brother. He wants we call it the little town next to ours, Illinois, right?
Uh-huh.
And he comes back the other day, we talking. He said, yeah, I get the Indianola paper. And that's how you really pronounce it, Indianola. That's what it's but we grew up calling it Indianola. And
Right.
that's what it really is. To me, it's still Indianola. Even though I know how to say Indianola, I'm gonna still call it Indianola.
So is any
And that's what it
that
is.
is that the black
The
way to say
black version of Indianola.
right?
Yeah,
Is
that's how the black folks said it. But the white folks said it a different way. But down there, everybody, most of the people still say Indianola.
so how did the
Except
white
somebody that them went to college or they think they smart and shit.
so how did the white folks say it?
Indianola.
Like like the educated black person says it?
Yeah.
See? You
Yeah,
see what
see, the black people would love to be able to speak the same language as they do, but if we don't speak the same language as they do, two things occur. One is they think we're dumb
right.
because we're not speaking like them. They're not going to give us a job because we don't look like them. So what do we do when we go apply for a job? We be on our most whitest behavior we can ever achieve. Really. We go to extremes to be the whitest we can be when we go on an interview.
To sound as white as we can be and
Mhm.
and
To
even
dress
going
as
to
white as we can dress,
and
to
even
walk as
going,
white as we can walk. Huh?
and once we get the job, when a white person makes a joke about the black community or black folk, we laugh along with the white folks.
Many do, but some don't. I don't. I know they do it, but I don't
No,
do it.
I just came out of a professional setting. They do it. I had to challenge black folks in the room that were going along with jokes that white people was talking about the community that they live in.
But how we go in and f them up.
And they laughing right along with it. And so, but see, it goes back to what I'm saying about the volumes that because all the books that have been written about us haven't been taken off the shelves and burned. The bell curve, you can still buy it.
Yeah.
Race, trace, and
But
tendencies.
who wrote all these books about us? Most of the books about us were written
White
by
folks.
white folks, and they wrote it from a white perspective. But if we get to delving in these books, if they're teaching these books, and that's all we get to learn as we're growing up, that we think it is law. We learn it and we start to believe it. Like right now, we cannot get
We as
Columbus
black
discovered
people,
America out of our head, huh?
we as black people, or we as Americans. I mean, do white Americans, are they more influenced by those kind of writings, or do it
They're
reinforce them?
reinforced. They're more reinforced by those kind of writings. They believe it more firmly by those kind of writings.
Can you
But
debunk?
we read it and we believe it to a certain degree. But
Can you
we are not understanding that he who writes the story tells his story.
so
That's his story.
can you debunk if somebody that's a expert in their field wrote that and and it's accepted in the mainstream. The guy got all kind of credentials and stuff like that. And even when the book was written back in the 1800s, Race, Trace, and Tendencies of the American Negro, it was challenged by W.B. Du Bois and by Kelly Miller, who was a professor at the school there in D.C. So they debunked it, but it's out there. It was written by an expert in his field, and I'm saying that insurance companies took that information and used it as a reason not to insure black folks, or if they insured them at all, you got less coverage for the same amount of money that white people were paying. Your premium was the same as what the white was paying, but you got less coverage.
So why would you not? Why would they give you anything when they haven't given you anything to start with? I mean, the same people are pressing you, thinking you're gonna get an even shot. I don't give a damn what it is we do. It's not gonna be the same. It'll never be the same.
But this is America, home where the free and where equality is.
But if I don't have to give a Negro the same as I got, then I'm gonna do that if I'm white. That's just the white nature. They will do anything in their power to keep you from being equivalent to them.
So
That is just the bottom line. And if you don't know that,
so if I sold you a policy in the early 1900s, and your your premium is the same as the white person, but the white person, when somebody died in that family, had enough money to bury you and invest, and all you got
you already looking like a dog that they insuring. So why would they give you the same coverage they give a white person? You ain't white. I'm just making a statement. I ain't talking about you. I'm just letting you know that this is how that's their mentality. Why would they not? Why would they give you the same?
But damn way
they're gonna give you the same. Look at the slave quarters. They could have gave them better conditions than that. They never did. There's no way that you can expect your oppressors to give you equivalent to what they have. I don't give a damn. Why did you always get hand-me-down books in your elementary school? Books, you open the damn book up, everybody's name's already in there.
Yeah, written all up.
Other side of town.
Right.
Yeah,
the book we had, No Alabama, had that. We got secondhand books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did too. And then some kind of title came through, Title 16 or whatever. I don't know what it was, but either way, it's Title 9 or Title 16. They started giving us new books, but the same books with the same little narrowed down content that didn't allow us to know who we were. We learned everything there was to know about them, but they knew nothing about us because nobody would allow us to be taught in their classes. Right now, you can find Will Pickett. You're not gonna find Bass Reeves. You're not gonna find you're not gonna find Malcolm X. You're gonna find a little bit about Martin, a little bit about Rosa Parks, and that's about it. And what's the lady in Memphis? I can't think of who she is. I know her when I look at her face, but I can't think of it. The lady if you go to the end of Bill Street, there's a 8-foot statue down there of her. Ida B. Wells.
Right.
They don't tell you how they destroyed all of her writings and she had to do it again. And, they don't tell you how that she was the only that would stand up on the train, because when she would get on the train, she had on a wardrobe that was more expensive than any of them white folks that was on.
So do you believe in 2024 that white people see you as an equal to them?
No, not at all. Even though they'll sit there and swear on their mama's grave that I'm equal to them, they would never pay me the same. It happened. Here I am. I go to work for Boeing. I'm a degreed black man that's a logistics manager. I get hired at Boeing, and they put me right in the fire because the receiving dock had never been set up. So I set all this stuff up, the kitting process, I set that up. I worked my ass off down there doing from 6 in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon every day, and some overtime after that. And then here comes this white dude, the typical looking white man. You couldn't tell him from one of these billionaires somewhere in the world with his suit on, looking like a good old country white boy, looking like what's the mayor, the governor, that retired Perry, looking like a Rick Perry.
Yeah, Rick Perry.
So now, because he looked like Rick Perry, he didn't have a degree. He had some old socialist degree from a technical college or something like that. So he was in logistics too. They put him in the basement, and they put him in the basement with 2 employees. I had like 35 employees, and they paid him. I was probably making, let's say I'm making 60,000. They paying this mofo like $70,000 with 2 employees in the basement, no degree. And he's so stupid, he balled up his pay voucher and threw it in the garbage. Hey, I'm gonna look at that shit. I want to know what you make. And I saw that he was making over $10,000 more than me. I went to raising hell all the way up through HR, through my chain.
They fired you?
No. He come to me with a piece of paper, the director, and he slid that piece of paper across the desk to me. And on that piece of paper, he had a $10,000 raise. That's
Right.
what he had. But they know they fucked up. So now I open the paper and I look at it, and then I look at him, and I said, "That it?"
You think that's bad? I was working in a job, and me and this white woman had identical jobs,
Mm.
titles. I got a college degree. She didn't have one. I have an advanced degree. She didn't have one, and I was paid 1 cent more than she was paid. 1 penny.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
1 penny more.
That's the same, ain't it? They know what they were doing. They being funny
But
when they do
but see,
shit like
here's the thing that most people don't understand. When I talk about the institutions, right?
mm,
Everything in America that's got the national attached to it is black, right?
mm,
Everything that's got American Association of this, that, whatever is a white institution, right?
mm.
That's the racist structure I'm talking about. It's still in place.
Like right
So
now at the Alamo Dome.
that
The
that that
daughters,
that the American Economic whatever association that exists to this day is a racist institution
you
founded
heard of
on
the
racial principles.
you
So
heard of the
until
Daughters
we
of the Confederate.
until, until we address that American and national divide, America will continue to be a racist institution because it was everything with the American name in it. American
Mm,
Association of this, American Association of that, American Association of this, that said that you wasn't equal to the white man.
mm.
Whether they did a
You heard
study,
of the Daughters
whether
of the Confederate, right?
whatever it was, we were not equal to the white man.
Well, it's been like that from the writing of the damn
From the
Declaration
beginning,
of Independence, from the
from the beginning.
Constitution. They
So you
said that
think so
we
you
was
think
cold.
so you think they went to the library and at the American Economic Association and threw out all the racist writings about us?
No, they put it in a book and made it worse.
Them books still there, right?
Yeah, they still there.
You think in the Library of Congress, all them books that say we're inferior to whites and all this kind of stuff written
Still
by
there.
small
But see, this is where we mess
you
up at.
think they threw those books out?
This is where we mess up at. In Abraham Lincoln's executive order letters, he has an executive order saying that we should be given our land and our mule, well, not the mule, but the land and a compensation.
Well, they
Yeah.
did for
Huh?
they did for a while.
But it's but they didn't do it not even a couple of months.
Right.
I mean, well, that bureau that they
No, no,
created,
no, it was for you. The Freedmen's Bureau existed for about
mhm.
10,
How long?
about 10 years. I think, if I
Mhm. But
remember.
they disbanded it so quick, it didn't even make
Right.
no sense. And then but it didn't take 10 years for them to start giving the Southern generals their land back. So it had to be sooner than that because when they started giving their land back, they had to take it back. It was the soldier with the use of the soldiers.
Well, I think what they did once they put all these once the Freedmen's Bureau established all these black colleges throughout the South, they felt like that they had instituted a process to begin our civilization
Mhm.
of black man. Most
Yeah,
of
they
the
did.
look at
They
the
did a lot.
most of these black colleges. That's why they love Booker T. Washington. They
But
wasn't.
why did they disband it though? They disbanded it because black people were starting to get their foothold on the ground. And they said these Negroes gonna catch up fast as they moving. So let's take this out the way. We don't need them moving that fast. That's
Well,
basically what it boiled down to.
I'm sure
Coming
that
off
was
a plantation and you surpassing many white folks. And so Congress got to do their
yeah,
part.
because
They smashed the rug out from under your ass. That's what they
because
did.
them whites that settled in the South wasn't no geniuses.
Mm-mm.
You know,
No, they were brutal
they
and they
no,
were takers. They all had taking spirits, not giving spirits,
they were poor and they were uneducated.
and they
Most
were rattlesnakes. If you
right,
saw 10,000 rattlesnakes coming at you,
and
and
one was good,
10,000, huh?
and one wouldn't bite you.
Would you trust that one? How would you find that one? That's
Yeah,
my point. Who was that? Muhammad Ali? He said that.
yeah.
Yeah, you cannot get around. I mean, they're all the same, and they're all devils. and they all look at us as 3/5 people.
Explain this to me. How can in the census of 1870, right? The first census after we were freed from bondage, we was like 10%, a certain percent, like 12% of the population, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can almost 200 years later we still be right at 12 to 13% of the population?
It's a systematic control process that
Through
they do. They don't say anything about black women and abortion, but I guarantee you that the statistics of sterilization, of ruining people by doing a too early hysterectomy, black women now, they test on our people. No matter, I don't give, they still test on our people without the knowledge of our people. So if you don't have somebody, if you go in the hospital, if you ain't got nobody there watching your shit, watching you and what they doing to you, they experiment like a mofo with you. They figuring out shit because there's a lot of stuff they still don't know, and they use the people.
So you saying the Tuskegee experiments with syphilis experiments that still kind of goes on in the country when it comes to
they're done with syphilis, but there's so many other things out there.
No, I'm saying that type of experiment.
It's the same type of shit. Yeah, the exact same type of shit. Even the prison system, but you know, I want to kind of stick with some words like there, THERE, right? That's one there. THEIR, that's another there.
But that's not a black thing.
The topic today, what? Black and white words. What I'm trying to get to.
See, you're assigning.
Let me just tell you my goal.
But let me say something. But see, you're saying that people that use there versus there are.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when we write, we use, for instance, there. We're going over there. How many times I've seen it where people will put THEIR, we're going over there.
Right.
And then sometime you'll see people, we're going over there, THEY-RE. So we have to know the difference between these different words, like see, SEE, we see, but SEA is see as well.
But you're assigning that to us as a race of people, and
yes.
what I'm pushing back on is it us as a race of people, or is it certain black people in certain environments that use the word like that?
It's us as a class of people, and we struggle with these words for a reason. Like I want to get one more word, then I'm going to tell you why I say we struggle with them. The other word I want to use is principle. PRINCIPAL, PRINCIPLE. Sometimes we don't know which one's which. So if I say PAL, are we talking about the person or the situation?
But my pushback though to you is, and just for the sake of, is that a product of being black, or is that a product of the lack of education on the part of certain people?
It's a product of being black. This is only some words. Let me explain why I say that.
But let me push back again. So is crime a product of people, or is crime a product of condition?
Condition.
So why isn't
the words are different?
Usage?
I'm gonna explain. We go through school, right? We're gonna learn how to spell principle. We're gonna learn how to spell principle on both ends. However, we are not gonna go any further than learning how to spell the word. And this is just one word out of thousands of words that we use, but we don't know the definition to. And sometimes when you see writings, you'll see where we forget to put the N or the K in night when we're talking about a Knights of Armor, or we'll put KNIGHT when we're talking about the darkness, or we put KEW when we're talking about new, when we, or you know, I'm just saying when we use the word whole, HOLE. Some people put WHOLE. Two different meanings, but the same pronunciation, the enunciation of the
But I
word.
think product of education conditioning,
Mhm.
education learning, then
It's only
that
it's
thing.
only to our culture, only
But
to us as a people.
so you're saying that our culture uneducates us?
No, no, I'm saying the system uneducates us on the proper usage. In other words, why was it that the white man talked upper middle class English in his household during slavery? But if you walk 100 feet over to the slave quarters, you have to damn take a Ebonics class to understand
Okay,
because
but that
they understood the
that,
words, but they had to
that
use the words to
but
not alert the masters.
that's
Huh?
based on. But you're making my argument. That's based on condition, not
Well,
based
okay.
on.
And you can call it conditioned. I mean, I'm not stuck on my analysis of what I find out. I think it's a race of people, and I think the words we learned in slavery were based on the words they used during slavery. And we took those words to adapt them to our use. And we had to
Well,
modify those words.
condition.
We had to modify those words so they didn't understand that we were using their words.
Okay,
So
so
it's a whole thing.
you've jumped on another plane. So I see where you.
That's what I mean from the beginning. It's a race. It's a cultural thing, like you said. You're 100%. I don't doubt. I think I'm 100% too because we had to take the words and make them mean something to us. In other words, we had to make them mean something to us and not to them. And we had to use those words where they were undetectable by them, like Wade in the Water. That was not just a song. Like
Okay,
Jingle Bell,
it's
that
a
was not
phrase.
just a song. The
No,
Star Spangled Banner, that's not just a song.
I get that, but I thought you were strictly talking about word usage and whether word usage, the improper usage of words can be related to a class of people because you're bringing that forward today.
Hmm.
So,
I
so
feel
we're
it
not talking
can.
about slavery, we're talking about today. And I'm saying
Mhm.
that, the improper word usage today is based on condition, not
Mhm.
race. As
Explain that to me. Make me understand.
okay, if you say blacks are more criminal than other groups, right?
Mhm. I don't say that though.
But some people say that. So are blacks more criminal, or are blacks in certain conditions probably more susceptible to criminal activity? Like if you grow up poor and there's a lot of crime, aren't
Hmm.
you more susceptible to crime? But that's not a race trait.
I look at where I grew up at, and I'm sure you grew up. I don't know, similar, but I would think similar.
Yeah.
There was nothing there outside of the blackness for me. You know, my mom protected me so damn well. I really didn't know much about racism until I saw it.
When,
So
speaking, when did you first see racism?
say that again.
When did you first see it?
The first time I saw racism, I didn't recognize it, but that's what it was, and I saw it twice, or more than that. But these two times stuck out. The first time was when I was about 7 years old, and there was two, three white boys around that age. We all used to play together on the lime hills, and the lime, that shit they put in the field, poison, and they used to stack that shit up in the middle of the city. So we used to climb those hills and throw each other off the top, and I would always win. So I found that they all three was trying to team up on me and
Mm.
throw me down the hill, but they never could do it. And I think the day that I discovered that they were trying to do that, we had our little arguments, and I never seen those kids again. I haven't seen them to this day, and that's from 7 years old, and they live right across the street in the white neighborhood. Though. So that was my first incident of racism. The second incident, I was about 9. I was walking down the sidewalk in my little town. I just went and got me a nickel cone of ice cream, and I'm just enjoying my ice cream, not paying attention to shit. I'm about 25 feet from the end of the sidewalk, and a black man standing there with his foot on the wall. He leaning back on the wall. And the sheriff was parked across the street, but he was walking towards the man. And he was a big fat motherfucker with a big belly. And, you know, this is his walk here. I never forget that walk. How he was just sliding his big ass across the street with the belt hanging off his ass, with a pistol hanging down there by his knee. That kind of big man, about 5'5", 5'6", big old white man. He walked across that street and he grabbed that black man by the collar, just like this. And he said, boom, 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 slammed him up against the wall and put his finger in his face. And the black man wasn't doing a thing with his, crouching there. And then he slammed him one more time and he put his gun up there like that. Had him with his hand, had his gun up to his head.
You witnessed that?
Yeah, in broad daylight. I'm, like I said, about 20, 25 feet away, and I got my ice cream. And I'm in shock. So I stood there and watched him do this a couple of times with that black man, and the black man was crying. Now, this wasn't no young, this was about a 50 to 60-year-old black man. He up there crying because this white man's doing him like that. And I don't blame him. He at gunpoint. So I was sitting there in shock. And ice cream was dripping off my elbow.
I bet.
It had melted down my arm and off my elbow because I was just there that long, I think. But anyway, after that, I wanted to unalive this man so bad. I had made plans to go on top of the grain elevator that was on the other end of town. And what I wanted to do is make sure I could see through the back of his windshield in his car from the grain elevator, from the top. And my friend's dad worked there, so he took us up there. He didn't know what we was up to, but I wanted to look. And I said, yep, I can see him. So now I got to go find me a rifle. I'm for real. I'm mad as hell. I went and found a 22 semi-automatic rifle. In fact, I still got that rifle right now, today, in my closet. The same rifle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And my plan was to get him. And he retired not long after that. I couldn't get him. So that was my racist moments. But it was racist all over that town, and most people experienced it more than I did.
Well, Selma was a little bit differently because it was a black and white town. And when I was growing up there, the population was probably about 30 or 40,000 people. We had an race rate. And so the part of town that I lived in, we had a park. We had a public swimming pool for black folks. We had trains, hotels right down the street. So my first experience with racism, to be honest with you, in terms of intermixing with white people, because everything was segregated. Went to all black school. You probably heard of the Sisters of St. Anthony. They ran the high school until they built a new high school. So we went to Knox Academy. And then, but my first real experience by 11 years old was during the Civil Rights Movement. And you got to know the hatred in white folks, because we were there when James Reed got murdered. So there was a lot of killings right there in a row.
So you were right by the bridge?
Yeah.
You lived in Selma by the bridge, the Edmund Pettus Bridge?
Yeah, because Jefferson Davis Highway, it ain't called Jefferson Davis Highway, they renamed it, kind of separated the black side of town from the white side of town. And the dividing line, because it went straight down the middle. But white folks used to come to the black side of town because it's called Laney's Barbecue, been there for 100 years. They just rebuilt after the storm. So there's always been a kind of, where the races kind of intermixed there in Selma because of food and because, houses of ill repute and that kind of stuff. In downtown Selma, that was, Selma was like the seat of Dallas County. That's where the federal courthouse is. That's where the county courthouse is. And so
Mm.
all the rural counties around Selma, that's where people used to come in and shop. We had the first black attorney in the state. We had there was a black supermarket, black department stores. So all the rural folks used to come to Selma on the weekends. That's
Mm.
what nightclubs were. And so it was we had an Elks Lodge. And so it was a totally different kind of place. And not until we got into political rights, not were there really any disturbances in Selma. Uh, because everybody kind of, yeah, the lunch counters were segregated. You couldn't go, you could go to the theater. We had two theaters, but the one downtown, you had to go upstairs. You couldn't go downstairs. White folks were downstairs. Black folks were upstairs. Now, where are the premium seats at today? Upstairs. Makes no sense. We had our own little area where we can buy refreshments and stuff upstairs.
Their own bathrooms.
And white folks had the downstairs. We had our own bathrooms and stuff. So it was racism in the construct of everybody kind of knew their place. And not until we started fighting for political rights did shit hit the fan. And that's true, and that's probably true all over the country.
So do you remember, do you talk like right now, do you talk like you talked when you were 17?
I don't know. I really don't know. Probably
like the word axe, right?
Probably
when
not.
If you said ASK, what would you say?
Ask.
But back then I would say axe.
See,
when we're reading in class, we always said axe. We never said ask.
I would think
four is four. Door is do.
Now still, yeah, I do recall that word though.
Close the door.
Now open the door.
We never say door.
We never said door. Open the door. But it's kind of funny that we talking about this in terms of I think there was a certain shame of Black folks from the South in those early years, especially after the Great Migration, because it was presumed Black folks in the North could talk more properly, they talked better, they had more.
When Southern Black people went up there, they got ridiculed a lot
until they got indoctrinated
in the language like they did up there.
But even when you go to places like Flint, Michigan and stuff, there is a class divide between poor Blacks and the more well-to-do Blacks. Because my exposure to Flint, Michigan was the NAACP. That was one of the areas that we did some work in. Mm-hmm. And so Flint is basically a poor town now because I think because all those factories closed down. But can you imagine being from the South and you working at the plant making $50,000, your wife working at the plant making $50,000? That's $100,000 back in the day.
You can look at Detroit and tell why.
Right.
They don't.
And so that changed the trajectory.
Pay people no more.
In terms of families, in terms of their education, in terms of their, like I say, it's the product.
I just said a word I'm sorry to interrupt. No more.
No more.
You know no more is, right?
Yeah, no more. Yeah, no. Now I would say no more.
Mm-hmm. You know what before is too, right?
Say what?
Before.
Yeah, before. Yeah.
See, those are the words I'm talking about. We say those are our words, but we should not be ashamed to say our words, though.
But here again, are they our words?
Mm-hmm. They are.
Are they our words as a result of a condition that we were in?
Yeah, as a condition, but they're ours. Nobody else.
So you saying we should embrace them?
Yeah. They are our words, and we should embrace those words. Why is it that when a Chinese stands up in front of a podium speaking English, and you barely know what the hell this man's saying, but you approve of it? You have no question about his pronunciation of any word, you think that that is an ideal
because
conversation if
because
it's
no other because
interest.
no other group in America has been studied based based on their race or their traits or their tendencies. Nobody but us. No other group. No Mexicans. No
Well,
Italians.
I think they studied it long enough. They learned it, and they decided that we need to make sure they don't get A, B, C, and D for the next 200 years, and we got them again. You know, it's a strategy that they have used in
But that's why.
Washington forever, and I just resent what the country has done and not done for our people.
But in order to get the acknowledgement, in order to get the kind of acknowledgement that you're talking about, I think that the people that walked away from that,
Walked away from what?
from opening the door or whatever, the people that walked away from that culture
Hmm.
said it was bad.
Of course, they thought it was bad because it was so much pressure on our people to be like them because we thought that the more we were like them, the less racism we would experience. But it seemed like the more we like them, the greater damage the racism we experience. It's bad because they saying, oh, this Negro here that made it too far close to us. We need to fix that. Why do if you look at all the black entertainers that they brought down lately, most of them did not get bail. But when you look at Harvey Weinstein, the man that was with Trump with the girl ring, they all got bail, millions of dollars of bail, but they
Yeah,
all got bail. All the
but,
white ones got bail.
but
The
when you
black,
look, but when you look at the reason why that is, when you look at when you look at mass media and the minstrel shows and the caricatures with the big lips,
white lips and
and
the black
I mean,
face and all that.
I think that's why black people, even today,
That's a conditioning, like you said,
right?
and that's what I
We
mean. It's
never
conditioning,
saw, we never
but
saw,
a
we never saw
condition.
that
Go
being,
ahead.
we never saw that being having any value.
Well, I'm looking at it as when you do certain things as a condition. You do it because that's normally your last result. That condition. I mean, we got conditioned to eat chitlins and livers and kidneys when we were slaves, and that's the throw out. You know, all the throw out from the pigs. But why are we still conditioned to do that in 2024? There's no barrier on our condition. The same with the language. There's no barrier on our condition to use the language. But in my opinion, the language is ours. We developed that language in order not to be detected.
But
In
see,
order to be detected, you had to not use your lips as much, and you not had to enunciate words to the fullest.
look at the language that rappers use, right? They embraced it, right? We never
Yeah.
embraced the language you're talking about.
No, we
We
have not. But
embraced that
that's
language.
exactly what I'm saying. We should. There's no reason for us not to speak the language we speak. You know, quit because we're trying to every time. Like my nephew, I took him to be a barber to get an interview to be a barber many years ago. He's sitting up in there. We both from Mississippi now, and the white man said, "Well, Mr. Kevin, where are you from?" Mr. Kevin said, "Well, sir, I'm from New York." From New York now. And I looked at him and said, you nigga, you over there just lying your ass out. No damn well you ain't from no damn New York.
What made
And
him say that? What
but
made
he
him,
gave himself away by saying.
but what made him say that?
He thought, I guess he thought that the white man wanted to talk to him about something. Man, I can't. He thought that the white man wanted something to say to him.
But you know, I was when I first came in service. You know, you had people from the South that was lying, talking about they was from Chicago or they was from
Oh,
somewhere.
they're from cities,
Right.
not the rural ass cities. I
Okay.
had less than 3,000 people. That would seem like the max population in my hometown was 3,000.
Really?
Yeah,
So
I knew everybody.
so yeah. So there was separate high schools and elementary schools for blacks and whites and
Absolutely.
South.
Yeah, we didn't go. We still don't go to the same high school. We still don't. We still got different high schools, white one and a black one. We got Central Delta Academy for the white folks, and we got Gentry High School for the black.
Academy. That's a private school though, right?
It's a public school. They named it that, but they got because they get government subsidies. The
So
same as
black, no blacks go there.
the black go there now,
Okay.
but it's still they separate. You got 98% white at Central Delta, and you got probably 98% black at Gentry High School. You
Well,
probably got
Mississippi is unique in its blackness, kind of like
mhm,
it's unique in its Cajun-ism. You know,
mhm,
Alabama is a bit more. It's southern, but it
mhm.
has no. The reason why the area that I grew up in had Alabama had the largest numbers of black folks. Uh, had
I guess
largest,
I gotta take this. Can you talk for a little? Give me a minute. This is my sister
okay,
hospital situation.
okay. Alabama had the largest number of black population when I was. Uh, let me share this with the listeners in terms of the total number of uh, in 1870 the colored population was 5,391,000 for a percentage of the total population of 13.84. And here we are almost 200 years later, and we are the same percentage of black folks that we were in 1870. Where did all those black folks go? Where did all those babies go? Where did all those elderly people go? I mean, how can, after almost 200 years of freedom, the population hadn't, as a percentage of the population of this country, has not changed? That's some kind of control. And like I was saying about the American Association of whatever and the National Association of whatever, those institutions are still in America. The American Cancer Association, the American Medical Association, all these institutions that at one time considered black people to be inferior still exist. And we still have a segregated American structure. Everything national is black, everything American is white. And until we deal with that structural imbalance, if you will, that divisiveness, I think that we will continue to have two Americas, and I will still contend that America is a racist nation, even though individual people may not be racist, but the structure of America is. And let me give you one other point. I think I have it. Can I find it? But word usage, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah. Okay. You can go ahead and pick it back up. I was just sharing some data and sharing my thoughts about the how this America is still divided in terms of American Association versus the National Association. Everything with an N is Negro, if you will, and everything A is white America.
Mm-hmm. There's
And
two things I want to add to that. One is I look up Negro organizations all the time, and I never see uh, organizations I know. I only see the NAACP, which it tells you that it's fighting for certain things, political things, economic things. But I have yet to figure out how to find out what they're fighting for. I never noticed what they fight for, and I've had this struggle with them just like I've had that struggle with religion.
well,
Uh,
I think they fight for, well, they, I was involved with them because of political rights. So that was, I mean, that's political advocacy is a major part of what the NAACP does today. That
mm,
that's why we have a Washington bureau. We're the only organization that actually has a Washington bureau in DC that has it's one lobbyist. So I mean, compared to all the other lobbyists that work for all the other firms, but that's been a mainstay of the NAACP for years. Is having that Washington bureau and having that. Some people call them
what is the latest significant accomplishment they've done for Black? But when I read the bio, in 1909, they said they were established as a multiracial.
but they were founded by wealthy.
Lee Du Bois, W.E.B. Du Bois was there. He was one of the people. I don't know the rest of them.
Right. Well, it was founded by white folks that was concerned about the race riots in
Mm-hmm.
Springfield, Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's right. Yeah.
it's
stuff.
I could say some things offline that I probably shouldn't say on public about the NAACP. I mean, that was the NAACP has always been
backbone for a minute. It was backbone. It was most
people saw the NAACP even back in the day. The branches in Mississippi were considered middle class Black folks.
Mm-hmm.
The people that was involved at the local level were primarily the middle class educators, teachers, the professionals of that period. The same in Alabama, the people that it wasn't the tenant farmers and those kind of people that were members of the NAACP. It was the educated class. And so, and the NAACP kind of follows in that tradition today when you look at the membership, who actually, belongs to the NAACP.
I'm surprised they never changed the name to NAABP or NAAAFP.
I used to say that NAACP stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People because we believe people come in all colors. And so that tells you about the breadth of.
It tell you it ain't Black specific. That's what I'm trying to get to. It is not a Black organization, so we should not be so focused on it just being a Black organization because it's, like you said, NAACP, colored people, because people are of all colors. But that takes me right back to black and white. Black and white, that's a color, right? But a black and white TV has no color. So that's something to think of. Why is that? That's American way with words.
Well, and it's an interesting topic because basically what you're saying is that we should embrace that as a cultural piece of our existence, and most Black consider it that Blacks that talk that way are uneducated.
Mm-hmm. That's what people consider. Yeah, they look at it like that. That we don't.
And that's conditioned. And what you're saying that is not conditioned. That's who we are.
That's who we are.
I
mean, why did everybody else speak their own language, except for us? That's our own language. That language belongs to nobody else. Well, we created that language.
Our language is English.
Well, that's what they tell you your language is, but you had your own version of English. There's 100 pages.
I follow what you're saying. You're saying back during the period of slavery, in order for us to communicate incognito, we had to take word usage and create our own communication.
We had to master our
Right.
own communication style, and we put it in songs. Like the two that I know, Wade in the Water, the other
But that,
one, Jingle Bells.
but that's different than the subject matter is about words and how we
Mm-hmm.
pronounce words today.
Mm-hmm.
And run say that how we pronounce words improperly is a subject of condition and not race, not
Mm-hmm.
blackness.
How many other people you know call four? That's race, right? Ain't no other people call four.
Well,
Nobody else. That's us.
th- th- th-
Nobody else says before. They say before.
okay,
We
so
say,
let me ask you. But you know Italians used to talk like that.
but they had their own language,
The
their
Irish,
own language that nobody understood. I know
but,
we did.
but you don't hear people saying, you know, I mean, there was different other groups that had their own linguistic.
You know why they had no? They speak their language the way they do, is because there were no barriers to them learning the language. We had barriers to learning English. You couldn't read a book. You couldn't be caught in groups. You had to get everything you got out the Bible from the master. It was just so many rules to us learning anything. We had to form our own bullshit. Our own, I ain't gonna call it bullshit. We had to form our own stuff. And that's what we did. And nobody can do it the way we've done it.
Are,
Everything we
are
have a
there,
written shit.
are
And
there,
let me huh?
is there a book that you can recommend on that subject to our listeners?
Yeah, I don't have it, but the book is called Tutu. I think it's Tutu. It's our language book. Just
Oh,
type in African American language, and if you got a chance, and put in Tutu. The book is called Tutu.
okay.
I don't have it, but I saw it out there.
Oh, okay.
I want to bring up a couple of more words. These are words that are spelled the same way, and I want us to they're not spelled exactly the same way, but close. I need us to remember the difference, like weather. Weather is the condition of the air, the atmosphere outside, WEATHER. And then the other, whether you're going to go or I'm going to go, has two H's. Just remember when it's talking about people, it's talking about two H's, WHETHER. See, we get those mixed up in writings. And the other one is bark. Um, Bark is the hard protection of a tree, but then we say the dog bark too. Bear, something we carrying on our back. We're going to bear the weight of this item. And then the other one is the big, obvious mammal out in the woods. Bow, duck, key, lead, um, left, left, left is your left arm, and left is you left the place. Light, rock. I mean, it's just so many different words.
Well, here again, I
Blue.
do reiterate the fact. I think that's more to do with. I don't think that that's a language necessarily, as it is.
It ain't this part here ain't a language. What this lesson is here, black and white words. But when
But
we intermixing
but
how
but
we
that
use words to communicate.
but but then again, whether it was slavery or whether it's lack of education now, that was based on that was a product of condition. Not don't have anything to do with us being black. It was
You saying these words that I just mentioned, right? That's what you're talking about, like flower, FLOUR, FLOWER. Those words there don't have anything to do with the race. These words got something to do with understanding that certain words mean the same thing. And for us as people, we need to know which words to use in particular places. For instance, the word feet, FEET, FEAT, feet.
so to the degree that we're not doing that properly today.
Mhm.
What do you contribute that to?
us not learning the differences. That don't that
Okay.
I'm not
So
contributing that part. I'm not contributing that part to race condition. I contribute this part to condition. What I contributed to race is the words like before, some need, um, different things that we say that most people never say.
hmm
Like in Boston, when they say the word car, they don't say car. They say car with a K. So, it's just different places in the city. And like if you're born in Arizona out in that way, you're not going to say you all, you're going to say y'all. You know, different places got, if you're born in New Orleans,
But again,
they,
that's related to condition, where you're born,
hmm
etc.
that's my point. The condition of these words are based on why you use those words.
No, but
The
we're not
condition.
slaves anymore. So why do we use those words?
Well, it's the race too. White folks don't talk like black folks in New Orleans. White folks don't talk like black folks in Mississippi, not even in Georgia.
But
The,
but but but
but why is it that it can't not be race when they grew up at the same time, born in the same month, went to public school the same way, but when they come out of school, they both sound different. And you find that out over the years now, over the last 20, 30 years, you've listened to the athletes, right?
hmm
From one point or another, athletes were making themselves look real dumb because I'm serious, when they get on the mic, yeah, we did our thing, they ran up and down their field, like they were supposed to, it's not supposed to. So,
right.
things like that. That's cultural. That's race. If it wasn't for his race, he would have said suppose. His race denied him access to the word, to the real enunciation of the word.
So it's despite that he's in college and has at least 12 years of schooling, you're saying that his blackness, his race, is the reason why he talks like that.
Now, you cannot separate race from culture. I think that's what we were aiming at. I think they both go hand in hand together. Because if he's at home and he's saying, "Hey, y'all supposed to do this here," like, see, I said that, do this here, do this, do DIS. Y'all better get your ass up and get in there and do what I told you to do. You're speaking like your culture is
But
is.
is it culture? I mean, I guess that's what I'm saying. Is 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 everything that's a product of slavery? You're saying that that's culture?
I'm saying we cannot neglect the things that slavery brought forward to us. We're still brainwashed to a certain extent, and it's not going to be easy for us to get rid of the um
So
the flaws that they've made us believe. Why do you think this is no, one more comment? Men right now, women still call grown ass men babies. That's my baby out there when he playing football or something. He's 29 years old and he's still your damn baby. It don't work like that. That is why, and they still do that for a reason. They do it because they had to do it during slavery, because if they didn't, they would have been raising men to get broke by the white man. So they had to
right,
make their sons, they had to make their sons look like they weren't shit in order for the white man to leave them alone.
I
And
get that.
so nowadays, the way they did it, the way the white man forced us to be a certain way in order to survive, it got ingrained in our DNA. And for somehow it's perpetuated generation after
So
generation after generation.
so
And
when
we
it's
not let it go. That's the thing. We don't let it go.
so
We
come
got some of the
so
shit go that we were doing as soon as we came off the plantation, but we haven't. So
so
many
come
of us still do those same shit.
so
Mm-hmm.
come you've heard that term BAE, Bay.
Mm-hmm.
That why do we say that?
Why do we call our spouse bae?
Mm-hmm.
I think that we've been trained mentally without but we don't pay attention to it. We've been trained to use certain words like the crib because it signifies you going home, getting in your crib. You still a baby. We call our women baby because it signifies you're not mature. But that ain't what we really look at it as. But when you really look at it, that's exactly what you're saying. But if I call you a baby, what am I calling you? If a man calls you a baby, something wrong with that. You
Right.
know, I'm saying you don't allow, I mean, we call our women babies, we call our home cribs, we call our cars a ride. We got all these names for shit that ain't the names that the shit was given. So we make our own language, and many of us understand our own language. Many of us don't because we don't want people to think we understand our language when we do. So we avoid using, you get five, six black people in the room with about 10 white people, you'll see how many code switching brothers you're gonna find in there. Everybody in there gonna be trying to speak upper middle class English. And no
Right.
damn well, as soon as you get out the door, you going right back home to before you was out there, before you went to work for the white man. So when you go back, like when I go back to Mississippi, I go right back to my roots. And that's what I intend to do. And I think that's what our problem is. We all trying to get away from our roots, and it's creating more problems than it's eliminating.
Right.
We're gonna have more and more problems as we grow older in society. Not my group age group, not the millennials, not all everybody gonna get. It's gonna be harder for everybody because we are so disconnected from our past, and we do not want to honor our past. I think that's a big deal. If we would just honor our ancestors and our past, I think we would be some happy people. We can figure out why all this stuff is in archives and it ain't been put out to our society. I mean, we got so many people, like you said, we got 66 brothers, 72 brothers in Congress or something. Is that what you said?
67.
67 brothers, 67 blacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blacks in Congress. We got all those people up there, but not one of those people have decided to pull out Abraham Lincoln's executive orders. They not stupid. They know about all this stuff. They know. I mean, there's millionaire black people all over this country that know what's happening in Washington D.C. and they won't put it in a lawsuit. They won't do shit. They're sitting on all this damn money and they will not rectify America. I mean, they all, and in my mind, they all trying to avoid getting what happened to R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, now Puff Diddy, and what's the big dude name that had Death Row Records? Him too. All these guys. It's not only starting with them. It started way back. Who was one of the first ones that I remember not getting killed was Medgar Evers. I mean, it started Medgar Evers, Martin, Malcolm. Those three individuals kicked off what America stands for. By killing those three people, they telling you, I don't give a fuck who you put up there, we can take them out. And nobody goes to jail until 50 years later. You know, they've gotten away with the murder of, I want to say thousands, I almost said millions, thousands of black people, thousands now. And nobody cared. Nobody cared. They murdered the black people. Then they took their land. And then they made the black people fight to get it back. And if they came back to fight for it, they were subject to be killed before they got out of town the next day. Just like when Emmett Till got killed, his mother went down to Mississippi, Money, Mississippi, to his trial. And she left before the trial was over because she already knew what the verdict was going to be.
Right.
She got out of town because nobody wanted to be there if they were black after dark when they dismissed those people, which is the saddest thing about America. Same with Donald Trump, same with all these rich ass people breaking the law, but none of them are getting held accountable for it. Rich people in America don't get held accountable. Poor people do. Poor people sustain this country, by the way, with the money that they take from us. Not, and I say us because they take it from all of us. White
Well, people
rich
that was a
pay
lot of
tax.
a lot of the people that was doing the lynchings and stuff like that wasn't rich white people. There was poor, everyday.
During what you mean during elections?
Oh, okay.
What? No, I'm saying what you mean during. You said during, like
No, I'm talking like
during or doing. Which one
no,
did you use?
no. During the period of Emmett Till or the civil rights workers that were killed in
Yeah,
down there
like
near
they beat Fannie Lou Hamer real bad.
yeah, Fannie Lou
Beat
Hamer.
those too.
You know, and then you think about all the people that were killed that are unknown to people, like Jimmy Lee Jackson. I bet you 9 out of 10 African Americans probably couldn't tell you who he was.
I couldn't tell you. I'm gonna look him up though. Jimmy Lee
But that
Jackson.
yeah, that wouldn't be no Selma and Montgomery March without Jimmy Lee Jackson. He was the first victim in that struggle. He was an ex-military guy trying to protect his parents. They were doing a night march in Marion, Alabama, and the state troopers chased him into a restaurant, and he was trying to protect his mother, and the state troopers shot him in the stomach, killed him.
Wow.
And
Biggest thing.
and the civil rights leaders of that time, their original plan was to take his body from Selma and take it to the state capitol in Montgomery and let Wallace know that they killed our brother. In fact, you'll see that banner. But he was the nexus behind that whole movement in Selma. I mean, it wouldn't have been a movement without
Yeah.
Jim. But most
Mm-hmm.
people, because he was dwarfed by Dr. King
Mm-hmm.
and that whole movement. But yeah, look him up. You'll find that
Oh,
he's very interesting. But
ladies and gentlemen. Hmm?
but my whole thing about arguing about the race traits and tendencies is there has been so much written about black people in America,
Mm-hmm.
how we're less than, how we're inferior, how we, are prone to criminal activity and all this stuff, and policies. That type of research, that type of analytical research, that pseudoscience bullshit. A lot of the political policies that we've had to endure under came as a result of that pseudoscience. And those books are still out there on somebody's shelves. To me, they all should be taken down and burned. They have no academic value. So why do we still maintain them? Why are they still being sold?
I see it as disputing. If we're not disputing the claims that they have made against us, we're allowing them to proceed with it. In other words, when we were growing up, they always tell you sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. And see, we took that little phrase right there and we literally applied it to everything. So in grown man time, we take that same phrase and subliminally apply it to what the white man says about us. We don't need to address it when he call us a nigga. We better than that. We don't need to cuss him out when they don't speak and we do, because we better than that. So our mindset is we don't we don't believe words can hurt us, but that's what they used against us. That's the only thing. With
But
not the
those
only
words,
thing, they
those
used that
words,
on it, double down on it. Huh?
those words led to thousands of people being denied health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Those
They
words
led thousands of people
led
dying.
to
They
thousands
led to many people
dying.
being burned and chopped up and pieced out and hung
Those
because
words
of the words.
may explain why the population percentage of African Americans is the same today as it was in 1870. Those words are the reasons.
And do you think that report is accurate?
No, it's proved to be debunked. Look it up. Look up Race, Traits, and Tendencies of the American Negro by Hoffman.
Okay, race traits by the American Negro.
Right. And the only
Uh,
reason
three words I would need you to remember.
The only reason I remembered that book that was because of what happened with the guy that shot the healthcare exec.
It's race, trace, and what?
It's called Race, Trace, and Tendencies of the American Negro.
Okay. That's two words I want you, three words I need you to remember. And those three words are stop,
What?
control, and neutralize.
Stop.
Stop, control, and neutralize. The reason those three words are important is, like I said, for many of us love our firearms. If you're an individual with firearms in your home and you intend to use those firearms if somebody breached your perimeter, then you need to know how to address it when the law shows up at your door. For one, if you tell the lawman, yeah, I was coming out to the garage and I saw somebody bent over in my car, so I ran back inside and grabbed my gun. I took it out of the safety box now, and I got my ammunition from over there, and I put it together, ran back out there, and he was still in there, so I shot him. And I killed him. You've said three things that will incriminate you. Well, two things for sure. One is that you came out there and you saw him in your car, but you turn around and went back in your house to find your gun. That's one thing. And then you came back out and you shot him and you killed him. And that's the second thing you did. You said you killed him. So if you went back to get your gun and you killed an individual on your property, you have just committed yourself to premeditated murder. Because the reason it's premeditated murder is because you had the opportunity to stop and think when you went back in the house to get your gun.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have that opportunity to think before you shoot, then you better not shoot, because that's going to be your jail sentence right there for thinking about it. Second thing.
Well, black or white? So are you talking blackness?
Black.
Or white?
Black. Only black.
Okay.
Because white folk get away with it. We don't get away with it unless we know the verbiage.
That the white guy got away with. He went back into his house, got his gun, because he said he wasn't gonna let these black guys rob his neighbor. He goes back to his house, gets his gun, goes out in the yard, and shoots all three of them, and got off.
Mm-hmm. They let him go because he's white. Black people don't get away like that. If you go back in there to get your weapon, that's considered premeditated murder without a doubt. It's in the law book. It's in Penal Code 36.007, I think.
So let me ask you a question, and I really want your honest opinion. Given what we've talked about, why shouldn't black people be comfortable with Trump getting rid of the Department of Education?
I really don't think it's a big deal for us, because what's happening right now in this country is we've been overgoverned and overschooled with no results. We got millions of people coming out of school, hundreds of thousands of people coming out of school that are too dumb to damn write their name in cursive. See, if the Department of Education can't get their mind made up about saying a prayer in school and everybody hollering about it, or making sure they recognize this group, or making sure they recognize that group, or making sure they don't identify this person by that gender and not that gender. We're too caught up in the bullshit, so we don't pay attention to the real shit. So the real shit is they're doing away with the Department of Education, which means all the teachers are now 1099 employees. They work for themselves. And they just like the nurses that can travel from state to state or city to city and work in different hospitals. The teachers now can travel from school to school with no Department of Education. They can go because the schools ain't going nowhere. The money ain't going nowhere, but the department is gone. And every school, every a county school or state school will regulate their own school system. And I think, in my mind, it takes it away from the federal government. And they're only going to have to comply with a few things to still get government funding to the school. But the money itself is specifically going to voucher systems. And it's going to voucher systems because many of the millionaires now own these church schools, like Pastor Hagee here in San Antonio, best friends with Abbott. Soon as Trump do away with the Department of Education, he doesn't need the vote to get to go to what you call it, whatever they call it, that type of schooling, or voucher systems. So Hagee already got about, I think he's got about 1,500 kids going to his school. So that means he's going to get subsidies for 1,500 kids at his school, which what they want all along. The other big private schools or church schools that where people own individually, they're going to get paid too. And then what the big deal is with this is the money that the federal government sends to your school is not enough for your child. You end up having to give another $1,000 to $1,500, maybe $2,000 to your school to support your child. And the only problem we have right now with school, as for Black people, is we're not taking the time to participate in the school system. We're leaving it to the teachers to handle our children while we go out and work 2, 3, and 4 jobs trying to make ends meet because we want our standard of living to be at a certain level. And it's not going to get at that level unless you get out there and put the work in. So that's what people are doing now. The school system right now is not for everybody. It's a big babysitter, and they're not teaching these kids that are neglected anything. So the kids, many kids are being neglected at home because the parents are working all day, and then they're being neglected at school because ain't nobody watching their education.
You know, you almost need a planning degree to do everything that's required to make sure your child is. My wife has a master's degree. She's a guidance counselor, and it takes all of her skills for my daughter. Now think of a home that's got 2 working parents and don't have that skill set. That child
gonna fall by the wayside. That child only wants to get out of high school. They don't know. They want to get out of high school for one, and they want to get out of their mama. They always say their mama's house.
Sure do.
They always say their mama's house, but everybody knows it's the daddy's house. And the thing is, until America faced the facts about what daddies do, we're gonna have problems because daddies do just as much as mamas, even though mamas do the hard part, bearing the child. You know, that to me, that's the hardest thing to do. But after that part, I mean, most men step in. A lot of them step the other way, but most men step in. It's a big difference.
But you know, we paying a hell of a price. Like my daughter goes to a school. I'm probably one of a few dads that drop the kids off every day and picks them up. It's mostly white women you see out there. You don't see no Black women. They're working, and the Black men. So the kids walking home. I mean, 9 out of 10 of the kids walking home are Black because both are working. The white parents are there to pick the kids up because they can make it off one income.
Mm-hmm. That's how they roll.
In luxury cars, picking up their kids.
And they wonder why we riding up there in a 2012 Camry or something. Because we're 150 years, 200 years behind y'all getting a head damn start. You walked up to the car lot and got that car in 30 minutes. Take us 3 days to get a damn car. You know.
Yo, dude, you're right. The difference when you go to the dealership and it takes you, yeah.
They bullshit you so much, man. Sometimes you have to go there with your ducks already in a row. Tell them what you'll do and what you won't do, and be willing to walk away. I think that's the deal. Yeah. All right, we've been on here almost 2 hours, so now I'm fixing to give you my last words of advice and ask you for the same thing. And I'll go first this time. That way you stay on. One of our biggest problem right now is to start back to focus on our culture. I mean, our culture is our language. Our culture is our traditions. And I'm really concerned that our traditions are no longer in existence. I struggle to list our traditions, and then I watch the Africans doing their dances, they're doing all the different cultural events they have. I watch the Italians doing theirs. I watch all this stuff that these other nationalities do. Like the Chinese got all their cultures, the Koreans, they all got these major cultural events that they do. And I ask myself, what is it that we do as a major cultural event where everybody, Black American, every descendant of slave doing here in America? And it ain't celebrating what Mr. Billy say we should be celebrating. You know, we still going out here acting a damn fool on Thanksgiving with all the food we prepare. And we're doing that because we don't see nothing wrong with it. But we have to realize the purpose behind that entire situation, which I ain't going to discuss now. We have to learn how to advertise who we are. And advertisement don't start at the business level, it starts at the individual level. When we walk out of the house, we're advertising our race, we're advertising who we are. When we dress, we're advertising who we are. We got on house shoes and shit and flagging pants, and we walking with our mothers, we're advertising who we are. We're allowing the public to see that this mother don't give a damn about him showing his ass like a punk walking around here. You know, we have to change our community because we really don't have a community. And if it only takes 3 or 4 people to form a community organization, you know, we got hundreds and hundreds of nonprofit organizations in every city. We got hundreds of black clubs, or we got hundreds of black businesses. We got all these black things. We got hundreds of black churches in every single city. But no, all these black people gathered together in all these organizations and churches and businesses. But when it comes to let's do one thing together, it's non-existence. And everybody say it's unity. I've gotten past the unity thing. It's not unity. It's communication. And if we communicate who we really are and learn the difference in our words and start using these words, whether they right or wrong or indifferent, it doesn't matter. We don't need Johnny Go Lucky standing beside me trying to correct my words when I say something like before. I don't need you to tell me the words before. I know what the fucking word is. So we have to just say ignore these people that don't know who we are and make them know who we are. If I want to say before, then that's what the hell I'm going to say. We got to accelerate. We got to challenge. We got to build our community. We got to turn the hood back into the neighborhood. And we got to look at changing all these fraternities, all these sororities, and these churches. They got to work together. If they never start working together, we never get where we want to go. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Claude to say his final remarks, and then we'll close.
Well, brother, it's an interesting show. And I think each we come on air, I think we expose our blackness for what it can be, what it should be. But I just don't think that as long as we have, I've spoken often about black skin, white mask. And I think until we take that white mask off and be the fullest of who we are and not be ashamed of who we are, I think we're going to continue to not understand any of the other cultural attributes that we bring to the table, that we help make this country what it is. And I don't think that we really appreciate that value because we've been told it's all bad. We've been written about and told that we are not the same. Our race traits and habits are still on the shelves. in higher educational institutions around this country. We gotta create a brand new structure. And I think having these conversations and getting people to think outside the box, like I say, everything American is white, everything that starts with an N is black. And the W's are not reading the N's. They're only reading what the W said. What the American Association of Pseudoscience said. They're not reading what the National Association for the Advancement of Color People, what they say. So until we have this meeting of the minds, I think that we'll never be able to deal with the issues that we bring up. We got to get rid of that white mask. And we got to be proud of who we are as a people. And I think once we remove that mask, I think we can get to work on doing all the things that this program has suggested that Black America needs to do. So politicians, if you're listening, academics, if you're listening, this is what we got to do. And this is the direction that we got to go in.
I want to thank Mr. Claude Foster for joining us today at 3:30 on Sunday. Every 3:30 on Sunday, we do the Black News Network, BNN 247, and we want to welcome him back for another show on Sunday again, so we can discuss. What did we say we wanted to talk about? Traditions or something?
I think it was traditions. I think it was traditions.
You think we got enough traditions to talk about? You think we can dig some up?
Well, we can start. People. A lot of Black people, especially the educated Black people, the so-called educated, have dismissed traditions. But if you talk to most, I remember my brother telling me that his neighbor was a lieutenant colonel, and he was asking why he celebrate Christmas. He says it's tradition. I still celebrate it. I mean, my wife still puts up a tree and stuff like that. But my brother chose not to celebrate that tradition because of his nature. And
all his children grown?
And his children are grown. So he had that luxury.
Yeah.
We're in a tough bind in America, man. We are, here I am. I just read a book about race, trace, and tendencies of the American Negro in 2024. The book was written back in the 1800s. How many minds have that book influenced? How many doctors? How many lawyers? How many police officers have read that crap? So no matter what we say, this is who he said we are. They talked about it on the news the other day after this killing. You got to read it.
You said it don't matter what they say because of what they say we are. I think that's how I got that from you. Either way, thank you so much, Mr. Clark. Go ahead.
No, you're right. No matter what I'm saying is the racial structures in this country, they didn't take them off. When we talk about structure, we're talking about what's in the history books, what's in the so-called academics and experts. All this stuff is out there. It's still on the shelves. People are still reading it. Mm-hmm. It's still. How many doctors did that guy influence?
Mm-hmm.
That when you go in, he don't recommend. My brother was never told he had ALS. Because, was it racism? I had to, so I guess what I'm saying is the information that racists use today is still out there on the shelves. That's that institutional stuff I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
These books are available on Amazon.
It's easy to learn how to be one, ain't it?
That's the good thing is that they are available, that we can. But think about all of us that don't know that this crap is still out there, affecting the minds of people that deal with us on a daily basis, whether it's a cop, a doctor, a lawyer, whoever, candlestick maker, whoever it is. You know, it's kind of like you see something, how do you unsee something?
It's like you ain't gonna be doing that.
You know, once you see it, I don't care what nobody say, it's in there.
Yeah, you ain't gonna lose that.
You know,
You got some good points. All right, is that it, Mr. Foster?
that's it, man. We've been on for 2 hours. I can't believe it.
All right, thank you so much, man. I appreciate your intellect and your knowledge about the topic. Don't forget to stop, control, and neutralize. Those are the only 3 words accepted in Texas.
I hear you, brother.
All right, have a nice day. I'm going to go ahead and close out the session with this is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting live every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. and every Sunday at 3:30 p.m. We do not own the rights to the music, but we do own the rights to what we say. Our broadcast is from the desk of the Emissary, the real voice, and the real place to get the information you need about today's world, especially in this country. So thank you so much for being a member. If you have not subscribed to BNN 247, please do. I would very much appreciate it to get you to get where I can notify you at the time of our shows. Have a great day today and a better day tomorrow.